In this presentation, I'll be discussing the following interview: Building Future Worlds, in conversation with Cauleen Smith. Cauleen Smith is an American filmmaker and multimedia artist. She was born in Riverside, California in 1967. Since 2017, she has lived in Los Angeles, California, where she teaches at the California Institute of the Arts. Smith has a BA in cinema from San Francisco State University and an MFA from UCLA. Additionally, she attended the Skowhegan School of Painting and Sculpture in Maine. Her most famous work is the film Dry Long So, and she's interested in the obstacles Black women face today in America. Smith's film Dry Long So received an award from the Urban World Festival, the Los Angeles Pan-African American Film Festival, and the Philadelphia International Film Festival. Her work has been exhibited at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Chicago and was a visiting artist at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, the Hyde Park Center, and the Whitney Museum. Smith has addressed issues of police violence in the Black community at the 2017 Whitney Biennial, with elaborate banners that drew attention to this issue. In her film, Give It or Leave It, the artist explores a utopian vision of a future for Black communities by exploring the Black community and showcasing the work of Alex Coltrane and photographer Bill Ray, among others. Cauleen Smith has also addressed the issues of youth and gun violence by creating the Solar Flare Orchestral Marching Band project, in which she used a high school marching band in Chicago. The band played and danced to the music of Sun Ra, directed by musical director Y.L. Douglas Smith, to address the issues of gun violence in Chicago. They targeted neighborhoods that were prone to gun violence. The interview was conducted on February 16, 2019. This was before the opening of Cauleen Smith's film, Give It or Leave It, at the Markell Center at the VCU Institute for Contemporary Art in Richmond, Virginia. The interview was published on burnaway.org. Burnaway is a contemporary art company from the South via independent art criticism, reviews, and artist projects. They are based in Atlanta, Georgia. The interview occurred in 2019, where Smith was exhibiting her work at the Rotterdam Film Festival. Her work was included in the exhibit Loitering is Delightful at the LA Municipal Gallery in Barnsdall Art Park. As for the interviewer, Amanda Dalla Villa Adams is an independent curator, writer, educator, and historian based in Richmond, Virginia. In the interview, Amanda D.V. Adams asks Cauleen Smith the following: do you consider your work to be a form of activism? For Cauleen Smith's response, my understanding of activism is that it is tied to political concerns, tied to drawing attention to policy problems and attempting to use protest and grassroots organizing to create pressures that make policy changes that change political tides. Activism is, to my understanding, about the masses. It's about creating mass consensus. It's about influencing power. My work does none of those things. My work is connected to things that happen in the world, but politics, like art, is a discipline and a practice. I think if people better understood that, they would better understand their roles in both art and politics. As a citizen, I have deeply vested concerns about political change and about how to make that happen. As an artist, I am dealing with individuals who are looking to learn something, experience something. I'm not trying to bludgeon people into conforming to an ideology. I'm trying to open them to their own hearts and minds and their hearts and minds of those around them, right next to them in the adjacent car or at the grocery store. Why Smith turned to filmmaking? According to Cauleen Smith, the interdisciplinary nature of filmmaking has always kept me invested in it as a discipline. A film director, regardless of genre, must consider everything inside of the frame, from the figure to the texture of the walls, to the choreography of action, to ambient sound, to the color of light, to rhythm and pacing. Each attempt at making a moving image is a new opportunity to think about all these things and what they might mean working in concert. When I'm working in an art space, I approach it the same as when I make a film, except that working in an art space, I approach it the same as when I make a film, except that all the different disciplines get atomized into discrete materials and objects. Regarding discussion board, Cauleen Smith describes her filmmaking process as a collaborative effort. She collaborates with other artists to create her films. She borrows from Afrofuturism, where she explores the history of the African diaspora in the New World and its impacts on fields such as science, culture, and history. Regarding her work's relationship to cinema, she states, I'm trying to open them to their own hearts and minds, and the hearts and minds of those around them. She's trying to get the viewers to think about the world around them and how they interact with other people. In her interview, she stated that she's drawn to filmmaking as a medium because she finds it generative. She said she cannot imagine a different future that's not tied to the past and gives us a better vision of the world. Her filmmaking process is unique and different from narrative cinema because narrative cinema is about fictionalized stories that are not based on reality. Her films deal with decoloniality, which is not viewer-centric and is considered a non-Eurocentric school of thought. Also, Afrofuturism explores the African diaspora's influence on our culture and society, such as music, science, and technology. Lastly, the experience of Black feminists who suffer the double impact of racism and sexism. Cauleen Smith's goal for her filmmaking is to use art as a vehicle to get people thinking about the beauty of art and what it has to offer. We can apply that to our everyday lives. She states, "Art at its best gives much and demands little in return." Wouldn't it be marvelous if we apply that ethic to every aspect of life, to every other aspect of life? Her goal differs from a more traditional narrative film because she's not telling a fictional tale. She's interested in the disciplinary nature of filmmaking. Her work wants us to think of the reality faced by the African diaspora, Native Americans, and women to get us thinking in a non-traditional Eurocentric viewpoint.